A secret network of industry players is silencing critics to protect the sale of harmful pesticides in different parts of the world, including Kenya.
So these products have been banned in other countries. They are being manufactured to sell to us.
Africa is a target for them for a whole host of reasons. The regulatory environment isn't as robust.
An alarming report reveals that 76% of the total volume of pesticides used in Kenya contain highly hazardous ingredients, and 44% of these are banned in Europe due to their effects on human health and the environment.
Them causing cancer, them causing challenges of reproduction, the challenges of endocrine disruption.
A groundbreaking investigation by Africa Uncensored, in collaboration with investigative newsroom Lighthouse Reports and other global media, reveals how this secret cabal prioritizes profit over public health.
They are in bed with the agrochemical companies because it's big money.
One is miscommunication or misinformation. That apply pesticides and you're good to go.
We show how these activities have undermined efforts to ban these products, including one by the name Paraquat, which causes unbearable harm.
Yes, we have felt the pressure and being on the eye, being targeted because of the work that we do. But we do this because of Kenyans.
Kuishi nikishika kitu kama kikombe ya chai, bado inatetemekaga tu.
It's so bad for me kuona like maisha yenye ningetaka kuishi na my dad sio yenye naishi saizi.
It's been said that agriculture is the backbone of Kenya's economy. This is because of its role not only in feeding the nation, but also in creating different opportunities for its people to make a living. So what happens when this very anchor is corroded by harmful products that threaten the lives of the people it seeks to support? Meet Jedida Nkirote, a second-year human resource management student at Karatina University and a resident of Timau, Meru County. She's on the long May to August holiday. Ideally, this is a period of rest for most university students, but not so for Jedida.
Sipendi kutesa mama yangu sana. So nikipata niko na hiyo opportunity naweza fanya kitu nimreduce the burden ya shule, the better. Endo maana naenda kutafuta hiyo hustle.
During the week, she works in this eatery in Timau to raise the fees for her next semester.
Na pia najua maisha ya comrade. Maisha ya comrade hata kama niko na mzazi, kuna some point na kuna vitu zingine siwezi kaa nikiitisha mama. So sasa hizi wakati niko na opportunity naona ni vizuri nifanye ka hustle, nipate kitu. Sitaki ateseke, sitaki kumtesa sana.
Apart from working during the week, Jedida must take care of her ailing father John while her mother Joyce is away working at a flower farm located a few kilometers from their home in Makara village.
Anaitwa John Marango.
John? John Marango. Unasikiaje John? Mwili inakupelekaje?
Mwili inanipeleka mbaya.
Jedida's father, 50-year-old John Marango, can only mutter a few words at a time. According to the family, his health has been deteriorating over the past decade.
Ilianza tu kidogo tu ile like unaonanga mtu anakaa kama anarushwa kwa kuna force na inampeleka. Ikienda ikigrow hivyo. Ikafika place nyingine ikakuwa hata kutembea. Si kuna venye mtu anatembeanga straight vizuri. Ikaanza pia kukua affected miguu yake. Na ukimuuliza kama anasikia mguu chungu asikii, lakini ukiangalia unaona kuna venye yeye yako.
Marango worked at the former homegrown farm in Timau, now owned by the Flamingo Horticulture Group, between 2005 and 2016.
Nilikuwa nafanya tu ya mwaka moja ya mandawa. Alafu lingine ni kuvuna maua. Tulikuwa tunasuna kulimia, kazi kama hizo.
Hiyo kupiga dawa, unaweza kumbuka ulikuwa unatumia dawa gani?
Huwezi kujua dawa gani.
Mlikuwa mnafanyaje mkiwa huko?
Sini kupatiwa dawa tu, mnaenda mnapika.
Mnakuta ikiwa tayari. Okay.
He claims to have developed his health condition while working at the farm as a sprayer.
Alafu nikaanza kugonjeka. Alafu nikaanza kupatiwa kazi kidogo.
Wakati wako wa kwanza kugonjeka, ni nini ulisikia ndio ukajua mwili haiko vizuri?
Ni mimi tu nilikuwa nikiwa hapo nikaona hapana kuna kitu. Kana inaanza kupona hivi. Kwa sababu nilianza ilikuwa inatetemeka sana.
Some 67 kilometers away in Demu village on the outskirts of Nanyuki town, we meet John Kiunjuri. From a distance he seems okay, but looking closer, we can see the signs of a silent struggle he says he has endured since the year 1999.
Nilikuwa nafikiria ni kwa sababu ya kupiga mapipe, kwa sababu pipe za zamani zilikuwa za chuma, haikuwa kwa plastiki. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa ni lazima ugonge na chuma ili ufungue ubadilishe pale pengine, ama ufanye repair, imetoboka unataka kufanya repair. Ilikuwa ni kazi ya kupiga na nyundo. Nikafikiria ndio hiyo, lakini mwisho nilipoenda kwa daktari kwa sababu ya macho, aliniambia hata hiyo madhara ilitokana na ile dawa.
Previously a plumber by trade, Kiunjuri landed a job at the Tambuzi farm in Nanyuki in the early 90s, where he managed the farm's irrigation system. He remembers interacting with a weed-killing chemical during that time.
Kwanza nikiweka maji ilikuwa ni lazima tuweke dawa ya kupiga kwekwe, yani majani. Dawa ya kuua majani na kuua kwekwe, ambaye dawa ilikuwa kali sana.
Umesema ni 1100? Hii ni 1100.
Herbicides or weed killers have become increasingly common in the Kenyan market over the years. In September 2023, Route to Food Initiative, an organization under Henrik Ball Foundation, launched a report on the real state of pesticide use in the country. According to the report, 76% of the total volume of pesticides used in Kenya contain one or more harmful ingredients. The report adds that 44% of these products are banned in Europe but continue to enjoy large market shares here. Consequently, there has been a protracted fight against the use of harmful pesticides in the country.
That the volume of imported insecticides, herbicides, and fungicides has more than doubled in the 4 years, from 6,400 tons in 2015 to 15,600 tons in 2018, with a growth rate of 144%.
It started in 2019 when Uasin Gishu women representative Gladys Boss-Sholei presented a petition to the 12th Parliament seeking the withdrawal of these pesticides from the Kenyan market on behalf of 4 civil society organizations, namely Biodiversity and Biosafety Association of Kenya, Kenya Organic Agriculture Network, Resources Oriented Development Initiative, and Route to Food Initiative.
This is worrying because the increase in the pesticide use has not been accompanied with the necessary safeguards to control how they are applied and how they are used.
A subsequent report tabled before the then Committee on Health recommended the ban of more than 200 pesticides containing 8 active ingredients that were considered harmful to human health and the environment.
And so when we identified the 8, we realized all these are banned in Europe, but Europe was having a double standard because they were exporting these agrochemicals to us, When they have banned them in Europe because of cases of carcinogenicity, them causing cancer, them causing challenges of reproduction, the challenges of endocrine disruption.
Among the 8 harmful ingredients mentioned in the report are chlorothalonil and carbendazim used in the manufacture of fungicides, permethrin, dimethoate, imidacloprid and chlorpyrifos used in the manufacture of insecticides, and atrazine and paraquat used to make herbicides.
We particularly noted paraquat, which is used as a weed killer, and farmers were using it extensively.
Paraquat, scientifically known as paraquat dichloride. Its weed-killing property was discovered in the 1950s and later developed for agricultural use. It is one of the most widely used herbicides in the world.
We dominantly use it in coffee and in maize. So for the common mwananchi, you and me, we are widely using it in maize. You know, everyone grows maize. It has been considered an effective weed killer, thereby being used a lot. But in terms of toxicity and its risk to health, it's highly ranked as one of the major ingredient, or active ingredient that is harmful both to environment and to our health.
Paraquat is the main ingredient in gramoxone, a popular herbicide produced by agrochemical giant Syngenta. It is a non-selective contact herbicide that kills a wide range of grasses and broad-leaved weeds as well as the tips of perennial weeds. It is popular due to its low cost and fast action and has been widely used for decades despite concerns about its long-term effects.
Umewahi sikia dawa inaitwa Gramaxone ya kampuni inaitwa Syngenta?
Sasa hiyo dawa ndio hiyo.
Umekumbukaje mzee?
Sababu ilikuwako nasikia jina hiyo. Na hata kama nimekaa muda bila kuikumbuka, manake nilisahau habari yake. Nilikuwa naona hiyo mkebe inaitwa Gramaxone. Kulikuwa na zingine lakini hasikuwa na nguvu. Ile dawa ilikuwa kwa nguvu kuua kwekwe na tuseme ilikuwa kunasaidia sana kukuza maua ndio. Hata ndio hiyo.
While Marango's recollection is hazy, Kiunjuri remembers more about the product he used and its effects on himself and his former colleagues.
Harufu ni mbaya. Harufu ilikuwa ni kali sana. Manake wakati huo hatukuwa tumejua habari ya hizi tunaita maski. Tukipiga dawa ili waanze kupanda, wengine wanaanguka, wanapelekwa hospitali. Nakuta mkina mama wameanguka, lakini wengi walikuwa affected hata kwa mikono kwa sababu ya hiyo dawa, sijui ni aina gani.
For several years, scientists and medical professionals have raised concerns about the dangers of paraquat to human health.
Was that when she exposed rodents to paraquat, paraquat killed the neurons in their brains that make dopamine. That is the process that scientists believe causes Parkinson's.
First, ingesting just a small amount of this chemical can lead to eventual death since it does not have an antidote.
These farmers have been spraying pesticides for years in their fields, some even losing their lives due to poisoning.
In India, doctors have staged protests to force their government to ban the product, which has been linked to a rising number of suicide cases. Secondly, scientists have linked paraquat to Parkinson's disease, a degenerative condition that affects the nervous system, whose symptoms include tremors in the hands, arms, legs, head or jaw, muscle stiffness, impaired balance and coordination, and slowness of movement.
In 1999 nilianza kuona mkono imetetemeka. Nikishika kikombe ya chai, yani kitu chochote rahisi mpaka itetemeke.
hiyo ugonjwa imetatizaje maisha yako wewe mwenyewe?
Inatisha sana.
Kivipi, unaweza tuelezea kwa kifupi?
Kwa sababu ukikataa kufanyiwa kitu wewe lazima utegemee kitu.
After ametoka kazi 2016, I think hata kama medication yake haikuendelea sana. Because iliendelea mpaka mimi nilikuwa big razit. I remember. Kutoka hiyo time hajaifanywa any treatment. Hakuna kitu yenye ishaifanywa. Hiyo kutetemeka inaendelea kizidi. Na pia ukimwangalia unaona huyu mtu yuko healthy.
The first paragraph of this article, published in June 2023 in Movement Disorders, the official journal of the International Parkinson Movement and Disorder Society, points out discoveries on the effects of paraquat on rabbits and mice made by a chemical company nearly 60 years ago. The article also reports on findings from an autopsy of a farm worker exposed to paraquat, which revealed, and I quote, a degenerative change in the substantia nigra, the part of the brain that regulates movement, a pathological hallmark of Parkinson's disease. End of quote.
There are quite a number of studies that have been done, and generally when we look at, when we classify these pesticides as highly hazardous pests, we are looking both to health, our human health, and to our environment in terms of messing with biodiversity.
In this part of the investigation, we expose the secret system put in place to ensure the sale of paraquat and other harmful pesticides continues despite their impact on human health. American public relations firm v-Fluence Interactive prides itself in its work in agriculture, food, and beverage issues. According to its website, its areas of specific expertise include crop chemistry and crop protection, food and agriculture product litigation, nutrition and health issues and policies, among others. v-Fluence's founder and president is Jay Bine, a former director of communications at Monsanto, the original producer of glyphosate-based herbicide Roundup.
So when you're engaging in a story in the media, I want to know, do you know, are you the victim, are you the villain or the hero? And I'll tell you, if you don't know, you're the villain. We are, our industry, the people working it, we're almost always cast as the villain in these scenarios. And so we need to flip that around. We need to recast the stories that we tell in alternative ways.
Bine has also previously worked with the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. But his firm's v-Fluence's alleged 20-year relationship with Syngenta has kept Philadelphia-based lawyer David Dickens busy.
My name's David Dickens. I'm a partner with the Miller firm where I've worked for 18 years. Our firm personally represents approximately 1,500 individuals who used Paraquat, were exposed to Paraquat, and developed Parkinson's disease.
The Miller firm has secured a trial date in April 2025 in Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania, for an individual that developed Parkinson's disease after exposure to Paraquat. According to its website, over 5,000 cases have been filed nationwide in the USA.
At the heart of the litigation is allegations that they knew that their product causes Parkinson's disease, and they've known for over 60 years now, since before they put the product on the market in the mid-1960s.
While the exact number of Kenyans affected by the chemical is not clear, v-Fluence and Syngenta are alleged to have suppressed information about its dangers.
And v-Fluence and Jay Byrne kept coming up time and time again as the person that would craft their message, the person they were meeting with to say, hey, can you monitor what's being said in the public about Parkinson's disease? And if it's getting too noisy out there, you need to put a stop to that. You need to help us make sure that we're pushing down this evidence, whether it be scientific evidence or non-governmental organizations or anybody else who's saying there's a risk here. Let's silence them and push our message to the top, that this is safe and effective and there are no risks.
Paragraph 127 of a claim made by Donna Evitz against Syngenta in the state of Missouri accuses the agrochemical company of retaining the services of J-Bine and v-Fluence to create a website called Paraquat.com to promote the safety of Paraquat. This archived website is alleged to have been created by v-Fluence for Syngenta in 2007. It features positive articles about the use of Paraquat in Africa, including Kenya and Mali. Our investigation has also found that the farm has been funded by the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID) to promote biotechnologies and related issues in Kenya. The full extent of government payments is not known, but records show USAID paid v-Fluence a little more than $400,000 from 2013 through 2019 to support its program for biosafety systems (PBS). These included counteracting critics of modern agriculture techniques in African countries, including Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi, Ghana, and Nigeria, and parts of Southeast Asia. v-Fluence hosts a members-only website called Bonus Eventers, which brings together stakeholders in the global agriculture sector who are mainly pro-pesticide and biotechnology crops, otherwise known as GMOs. We gained access to the media monitoring section of the website and came across shocking information. We saw articles claiming that the Root to Foods campaign to ban hazardous pesticides would lead to famine in Kenya. The articles are categorized as BE credit, which sounds like Bonus Eventers took credit for them. Misleading information about the purported benefits of using pesticides is one of the factors behind the thriving of this toxic business in Kenya and other parts of the world.
One is miscommunication or misinformation, that apply pesticides and you're good to go. Number one, apart from pesticides being hazardous to human health as well as the environment, pesticides themselves, a lot of them kill beneficial arthropods that naturally deal with the pest in the field. So farmers are told, apply pesticides and you go home. This pest flies around in the night, laying eggs on the plant. It means that you have to continuously apply pesticides.
Professor Charles Midega is the Executive Director of Poverty and Health Integrated Solutions based in Kisumu, Kenya. In a recent study, he debunked misinformation that advised farmers to use pesticides to combat the fall armyworm that affected maize farms in Kenya's Rift Valley and western regions.
In fact, our own studies, the one that we've done over a period of time, indicates that if you don't control fall armyworm and you have about 70% damage to the leaves, you only get between 12 and 18% yield loss. Yeah. But because of the fact that this pest damages the leaves, causing tattering, serious tattering, there's the panic by the farmer and the people who work with farmers. So because of that, we've had serious misapplication of pesticides, trying to control a pest that eventually would only have caused maybe 20% yield loss if you had those crazy high levels of infestation. So it's a pest whose damage to crop and crop loss has been seriously estimated. I can only speculate, but I think we have a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. Those who lobby and advocate for retention of these ingredients in circulation, and I think I'm not wrong. I think that is largely the reason why we've not made any headway in terms of getting them off circulation. There must be a lot of lobbying to keep them in the system for selfish reasons, of course. Yeah.
We conducted several spot checks across the country to assess the level of accessibility to different pesticides, especially those containing harmful ingredients like Paraquat. It's easy to buy any pesticides as long as you have the money and know what you will use it for. This is unlike what happens in developed countries like the USA, where Paraquat, for example, is only sold to certified users and is prohibited to smallholder farmers.
No, there are no restrictions in Kenya. If you can afford a ton, if you can afford a liter, a quarter liter, most of these agrochemicals will even measure for the farmers. And one of the worst things is that in terms of labeling, they're not very strict. As I told you, most of the companies are in Europe, the owners of the patents, but they produce cheaper in China. So some of this labeling is even in Chinese. So you're not even aware of the ingredients that are in there. And so it becomes very unfortunate for the farmers.
We learned that Gramaxone, Syngenta's best-selling weed killer containing Paraquat, is no longer on sale. However, the market is still flooded with other brands that contain the harmful ingredients like Herbikill, Parapaz, and Parastar.
Paraquat kama si umesema hizo ni Paraquat kama unajua hii ni kampuni kado, Gramaxone ni kampuni kado, hiyo Herbicides ni kampuni kado. Lakini at the principle is the same. It's a Paraquat.
We bought a liter of Herbikill, a Paraquat-based weed killer manufactured by Osho Chemicals, for 650 shillings. The packaging only contains information about how to use the pesticide, but nothing of its long-term risks. In his days as a farm worker, Kiunjuri says he does not recall being informed of the risks he faced from the chemicals he used.
Wangetaka kwa sababu wakiniambia kwa kusema kwa unaona ni hata mimi itaiondokea mara moja. Na ndivyo hata hawakutaka kuleta hiyo mask wala gloves za kutumia wakati tunaikoroga. Wanaileta tu ukiambiwa ni dawa mzuri na kumbe ni dawa ambayo iko na madhara.
In the USA, manufacturers are required by law to add an emetic, an agent that induces vomiting upon ingestion of the herbicide to reduce chances of swallowing the substance. However, some local manufacturers only advise users to insert a finger in the mouth to induce vomiting, which would be difficult if not impossible to do if the substance is ingested deliberately and away from other people.
And so it becomes a big challenge because the farmers are desperate. Now the extension officers are the private companies, the agrochemical companies that can afford to move with a Land Rover or with a double cab in the field, and they are busy preaching that when it is time for planting, time for weeding, and that's a very unfortunate situation in Kenya.
In Nyeri, we also learned that while Paraquat was widely used to control weeds, coffee farmers were advised to switch to glyphosate by their factory leaders, citing market demands. This is how Gabriel Adea starts his day at his farm in Nela village, Busia County. While he admits to using herbicides often, Adea, a farmer since 1998, appreciates the changing nature of agriculture, which he attributes to a concept he calls minimal tillage.
Ukilinganisha na wakati wa sasa, kwa sababu kilimo kimekuja hii kilimo hai ama kilimo hifadhi cha minimum tillage, chenye tunatumia kemikali wakati mwingine, na hata si lazima utumie kemikali. Kuna wakati mwingine pia unaweza kutumia tu mbinu zile za kucontrol hiyo weed kwa shamba lako. Ukilinganisha wakati ule, kitu cha kwanza kulikuwa na madhara kwa udongo, kwa sababu watu walikuwa wangelima, wakati mvua inaponyesha, mmomonyoko unakuja unabeba udongo unapeleka. Sasa shamba lako linaanza kuathirika, linaanza kukosa madini yale ambayo ni madini mazuri.
One is the certain soil pathogens and certain forms or stages of pests that hide in the soil. So when you turn the soil, they get exposed to sunlight, the heat, and that kills them. And again, turning the soil improves aeration of the soil, improves better performance of roots of crops. So there's every benefit to turning the soil. So use of herbicides as a component of conservation agriculture really has very limited basis.
Adea remembers his indoctrination into using herbicides as a weed control method, which came after a visit to Laikipia and Meru counties. He now uses other Paraquat-based herbicides popular among farmers and readily available in agrovet shops across the country.
Harufu yake sio mbaya, alafu tena unaposikia harufu yake haina stress, haireact hata kwa mapua. Harufu yake ni kama inakuja vitu kama unasikia kama matunda, yani harufu kama matunda hivi, yani haina athari yoyote ya kushtua wakati unapotumia hiyo dawa.
But what he did not know is that the main ingredient in his favorite weed killer could harm him in the long run. And while he has improvised his own protective gear, a deer is not adequately protected from potential harm.
It's getting through the clothing and onto your skin. And then what happens is now it's trapped on there, you're sweating, you could have abrasions, and it's getting into your system. And so when they did their biomonitoring studies, even people wearing the protective equipment, they actually tested the urine of these people and found, oh, what do we find? Paraquat in the urine of the sprayers.
Although paraquat is classified as a Class 2 pesticide by the World Health Organization, which terms it moderately hazardous, scientific research and the increasing litigation against its manufacturers in the USA point to a substance that may be a ticking time bomb. Part 2 of this story reveals how a solid but secret network of stakeholders and industry players are working together to scuttle efforts to ban its use and that of other harmful pesticides in the country.